Hello, welcome to a new UNICOM Plus podcast. I'm Lucia from Turku University of Applied Sciences, and today we have with me.
Hello, my name is Lotta Metsärinne. I work at the University of Turku. If you have been looking at this podcast, you probably know I'm a career counsellor. And we are working with Lucia to help international students
As much as we can.
find a way in the local working life. And today we are focusing on an initiative by the City of Turku. So we have Jonathon here with us. Jonathon, do you want to shortly present who you are and what the city is working with at the moment?
Hi everyone, and thank you very much for the invitation to be here. So my name is Jonathon Murphy. I am a project coordinator at the City of Turku, former University of Turku student, so it's always very nice to come back here, and things haven't changed too much maybe in the hundreds of years since I was studying here. But as part of my work at the City of Turku, I work as part of International House Turku, a service which aims to help local residents with everyday affairs and also entering the job market. And recently I've been part of a project, Buria, Work and Vitality for Southwest Finland. And one of our goals is to really kind of support students and their family members as much as possible, particularly kind of when they're about to graduate. Because of course, from the city's perspective, we would love more students to stay here and kind of use their skills and help Finnish companies grow. So to do that, we have different initiatives, which I'm sure many of the viewers will be familiar with. We have our one-to-one advice service, the International Student Support Service, which runs at Monitori, our customer service point. At International House Turku, we also have networking events that we try and link students and other stakeholders together. And now we have the International Voucher.
Yes,
we're talking about today.
Today, hot topic.
A hot topic and a great initiative because, as we will see, there are benefits not just for the students, but actually for companies. And again, this was something we were always asked, I think, at many of our events. What are we doing for companies?
Okay.
We can pull the curtain back a little bit in how we are kind of trying to convince companies of the value of hiring international students.
You mentioned the project Buria that you're working for, and I just want to point out that UNICOM Plus is also collaborating with Buria, so together to find employers in the region and make them more aware of international students, what kind of different talents and strengths, and also like field-specific knowledge and skills students have.
Yeah, and I think from our perspective, of course, the universities, in terms of thinking about immigration and kind of why people are moving to Turku, then of course studies is and research and working at the higher education institutions is such a big part. So we're very happy to have a close collaboration with you guys.
Yes, I think we tackle both, like the students and the employers. But now, how can we join them together with this international voucher? What can we do for them?
That is good. So the international voucher, well, really, this is financial support not for the students, but actually financial support for the companies. So this is kind of effectively money given from the city to companies to kind of encourage and help them to hire international students or recent graduates. And the idea here is that we are making the process kind of easier because we know from our work, and we've surveyed lots of companies and we've spoken to companies at events, and of course many companies are kind of interested on paper in hiring international talents. They can kind of, you can make the arguments and they can understand the arguments, but maybe when it comes to the actual practical step of hiring that first international, they just need a little push. And again, that was one of the things that we were trying to make as easy as possible. And of course, we were thinking that usually when you are hiring any employee, but especially an international employee, perhaps there are some costs associated with that. So the voucher can be used to kind of cover the costs and part of the salary as well for an international worker.
Here, I'd like to point out that this voucher is different from the university's internship subsidy, right? So they work in a similar way, but the money source is different. It doesn't have to be an internship, right? It can be any kind of.
Yes, ideally it would be a full contract, and we can talk a little bit more later about the eligibility. But again, I think this is one of the challenges maybe when we are communicating what we offer to companies, is that maybe from the company perspective, if they don't have any knowledge of higher education environment, it's like, okay, well, we have the voucher and then the subsidy, and then there are other grants as well. So again, it's what we're trying to kind of bring out in this discussion is actually, as a student or a job seeker, you can play a role too in kind of informing companies that you're applying to of what is available to them, and again, making it as easy as possible for that recruiter to be like, oh, okay, actually we can go with this.
Actually, I know this has already happened. So from an employer, I've heard that they have gotten an email of these sums. So
but just to clarify, the money goes directly to the students or to the employer? Because this is the first question that when we mention to our students, like, who gets the money?
Who gets the money? Follow the money. That is what we always think. Yes, the voucher is paid to the employer.
Okay.
So if an eligible student or job seeker is found with an eligible company, and we'll talk in a moment about who exactly is eligible, but yes, then the company would apply directly to the city, and the city would give that money directly to the employer. So the student is involved with the information, but the student is not involved with the financial
non-transaction towards.
But of course, the student will get a salary.
That's
true. Not unpaid
most likely, yes, that money would be used to cover the initial salary costs.
That's great. And now we've been talking how those money flow, but how much?
How much money? Well, there are two levels of the voucher. The kind of the basic level is a €3,000 financial support, and this is for placements that are between 3 and 6 months long. So if a company hires an international student or graduate for 3 to 6 months, then they'll receive €3,000 from the city. If they would like to go further, and if they would like to commit to a 6-month or longer contract, then the amount will be €5,000.
Okay.
So I think for 3 months, maybe 3,000 would work, but really if a company is thinking about 4 or even 5 months, then it would be maybe better if they could stretch to 6 months, because then they would hit the higher tier of the financial support. But 3,000 or 5,000, depending on the length of the contract.
Yeah. And it's not a monthly subsidy, so it's for the entire duration of the contract.
Yes, for the duration of the contract. So of course we know that it won't cover necessarily the full salary for the whole time. Again, I think it will be.
And just if the company apply for the first shorter period, can they then apply for the longer period, or should they apply once? How does it work?
Usually they would apply once. I think during that time, if it then became apparent that they really liked the international worker and it was a good fit, then I'm quite sure they could contact our team at the City of Turku. We have a full kind of support team for employers regarding the voucher and some of the other services that we offer. So I'm sure during the internship they could speak to the team there and extend. But usually the application form, the initial application form, you would say the length of the contract beforehand.
Okay,
that's great.
Right. Yeah. And from the student perspective, if we switch to that, who is eligible?
Sure. So there are two categories of people who are eligible. The first would be international students who are in the final year of their studies. So if you are within 1 year of graduation. So again, usually if you are a bachelor's or master's student, for example, you kind of have this schedule mapped out that you submit your thesis and then you have your graduation date. So if you're within 1 year, then you are eligible for that. And I guess when you're applying to for the voucher, you probably have to show your transcript of records to make sure you were on track to graduate in that time, even with the addition of the placement and the work that you will be doing. Of course, if you are a doctoral student, a doctoral candidate, or a kind of PhD researcher, then you are also eligible. Again, if you are expecting to finish your PhD within the next year. So people who are about to finish, and then the second category would people who just have finished. So if you have graduated within the last year, then you are also eligible. So kind of plus or minus 1 year. Yeah, about to graduate or recent graduates. So certainly if you are a first year student, unfortunately, you are not eligible for this round, but hopefully there will be something in the future for you.
All right.
And just to specify, we are talking about higher education.
We're talking about higher education, yes. So bachelor's degree, master's degree, doctoral studies. So unfortunately for this particular voucher, if you are on a vocational school, if you're doing a vocational degree, then yes, for this particular voucher, you would not be eligible. But anything at kind of, higher education level. would be as long as it was a full-time higher education course.
All right.
So it fought for our students, basically.
Basically for our,
I would think that the most. And
and this is why we are
having this conversation,
including Jonathon to this UNICOM Plus podcast.
Yeah, but of course, it is also people who maybe are outside of your institutions. They would also be eligible as long as they were living in Turku
and have a higher.
And have a higher education. So, for example, if you've just graduated from another university in Finland or even a university in your home country in the last 12 months, and then you move to Turku and you are registered as living here with your DVV, municipality of residence, then you would actually be eligible as well. So if there's anyone watching who's moved here as a spouse, for example, then if you've just graduated from your home country, then actually you may well be eligible as well.
Yes.
So,
all right.
I think with the eligibility criteria, on the website, you can see the full kind of checklist and flow chart. And if you have any questions, you can always contact International House or the International Voucher team, and they can kind of clarify. And if you are unsure, I would always recommend asking to see, you know, maybe not putting the full application in if you're not sure, but maybe you could ask. Because in many cases, actually, people who don't think they are eligible then turn out to be eligible.
And have I understood correctly that the process goes like the company, they choose to hire you first and then apply for this voucher?
Yes. So ideally you would have that agreement with the company kind of before. And of course the way that the application form is listed on the website is that you can kind of pre-fill some of that form out. So you can kind of get the ball rolling at the same time, like if you've had kind of a verbal agreement but you haven't received the contract yet with the company, then you can kind of start the application process to make sure that the company gets the money as soon as possible. I believe as well, I would have to check the website, but I think if the placement has kind of just started, you actually can apply sort of retrospectively. Like if you started like a week ago and now you're just hearing about the voucher and you're eligible, then actually we can quickly rush the voucher through as well. But usually, yes, you would have at least this verbal agreement with the company that they would like to hire you before you actually submit the final.
So can both employees and employers start the process?
Yes, both can start the process. I think ideally the company, because the company has to kind of end the process, if you like. So either party can start the process, start the application form, but only the company can really submit the application itself. But the reason we did it like this is because we know that companies are very busy and they already have their own HR paperwork to do. So again, we're trying to kind of make things, facilitate the process and make it as easy as possible. And often there are certain things that they can just fill in, like their personal details very quickly, and then send it to the company, and the company can do their section, and then send it to the city.
Is this one-time occasion, or can companies ask repeatedly for the voucher?
Companies can ask repeatedly, but it has to be different candidates.
Okay.
So if the idea is that you, as an applicant, you cannot work at the same company twice. And you cannot work for a company that's previously hired you. So, for example, if you wrote your thesis with a company or they paid you for an internship when you were studying, unfortunately, you cannot use this voucher to then continue working for that company. It has to be, it's kind of like a fresh opportunity. So
so a new relationship.
New relationship, exactly. And similarly, yes, that I think the idea is that, of course, if we had one company who was applying for like 20 vouchers, then maybe we would look at that. But usually, yes, if it's a different relationship, then companies should be able to apply for multiple candidates.
Okay. Thank you, Jonathon. And now we talk a lot about companies, but which kind of companies are actually eligible? Because we talk about the students now, the other side of the coin.
Yes. So companies, so as I mentioned, the students themselves, regardless of where they studied, like at the time of application, they have to be living in Turku, like specifically in Turku through the municipality of residence. But the company does not technically have to be in Turku. It can actually be anywhere in Turku employment region. And again, I was very worried that you were going to quiz me. Maybe we can get some infographic of the Turku employment region is the largest employment region in Finland.
Is it?
It's 23 municipalities. So I can never remember all 23. But basically, it's kind of most of Turku and the surrounding areas. So Naantali, Kaarina, Loimaa, Uusikaupunki. I think basically everywhere. I think Salo is maybe the biggest place local place that has its own employment services. So the companies in Salo are not eligible, unfortunately, but company anywhere else. So again, you can be living in Turku and you can go to work in, let's say, Uusikaupunki or Loimaa or Kaarina.
Yeah.
But as long as the company is there, in terms of the companies, it does not have to be a big company. It can be any company as long as it has a business ID. So it can be an organization, it could be an NGO, it could be a startup, again, as long as it's a fully registered company. I think the only exception is municipal or kind of government work. So unfortunately, the city, we can't use our own voucher to hire people or hire students, which it's a shame because I would definitely think of some great candidates for the City of Turku. But yes, you can't work for the city, and I guess this includes like any government offices, like Elinvoimakeskus, for example, or Business Turku, I think would also be ineligible. Public offices.
Yes.
But otherwise, it can be a large company with hundreds of staff members, or it can be an SME, it can be a micro company as well. And again, I think from the city side, we're kind of hoping that many smaller companies will use this. It'll be a tool to maybe get them to hire their first, an incentive, their first ever international hire, could be through the voucher, which would be great for us.
So register company in the Turku area.
Yes.
That's the must go.
Yes, and again, the website has the full list of the municipalities and the cities that are part of the employment region. Again, if you find a company, they themselves might not know if they are the right fit for the voucher. So again, you can contact the International Voucher team and they can clarify for you.
Yeah, because the city has several different kinds of support services as well. So I've understood that in some cases maybe the palkkatuki, what's it in English, could be more...
kind of a wage subsidy or support. Yes, the employment region and the employer services that the city have. Yeah, we have a lot of different options. This is kind of just one of many incentives that they're working on. And yes, usually we would have professionals who would then liaise with the company and offer them the information or training about those initiatives, and together they would work out the best one for a particular candidate that they wanted to hire.
So if a company is interested in hiring an international, they could have a chat with you to kind of find out the best opportunities for them.
Yes, absolutely. So again, and if you have, if you're as a student or as a job seeker, if you meet a company and again they are kind of on the fence, but they just want more information, then absolutely please do put them in touch with the city's employer services, and we can share the links to those as well.
How about the voucher and the situation at the moment? Has it had a lot of questions? Like, has it sparked interest in companies? Are they using it?
It has definitely sparked interest in companies, and again, it's a kind of this is a pilot that actually is happening in a few different cities in Finland. So it's not just a Turku thing.
We have like a Helsinki.
Helsinki is thinking about, Helsinki is launching Lappeenranta. We have to give a shout out to Lappeenranta.
Wow.
So Lappeenranta, I think, had the pilot last year. And that really got a lot of other cities paying attention of like, okay, this seems like a great idea. We could also do something similar. So they were sort of the pioneers, if you like, in Lappeenranta. But yes, I think most of the major cities now are either launching a voucher or have it in their kind of upcoming schedule. So again, we're hoping that companies might have also heard about the voucher through other cities or connections, or even in the press, in the media, for example. So there has definitely been a lot of interest. We are still doing a pilot. So the pilot lasts 1 year. So it started just before Christmas and it ends 30th of November this year. So in a way, it sounds like a long time, but actually to kind of develop the voucher and a marketing campaign and give the information out and then find the company and then do the placement, it's not a huge amount of time from the recruitment perspective. It's quite short. So we're hoping that this will be the start of something, that many of these pilot initiatives that we will review how the voucher is working kind of at the end of the pilot, and I am confident that whether it's the voucher or something slightly different, the city will build upon this for the next.
Yeah, well, that would be really great.
That's the idea. But it has been. I guess what we're really looking for is that when we have people coming through the voucher, it would be great to get these kind of testimonials and get the experiences of people and examples, and that I think will make it clearer as well. So at the moment, we're speaking to companies, who are really these kind of like test subjects in a way, you know. But we would like that when we have more and more people through the voucher, that then we can kind of use that and fold that into the marketing campaign, whether for students or for companies.
Yeah.
Okay. What can students do to
promote
or make companies aware of this? Is there something that students can do?
I think really just equipping themselves with the information about the voucher is such a great thing, because again, I've met through International House, through our support services, we have met with people who have gone to a recruitment fair and spoken to companies or even had an interview with companies, but neither of them knew about the voucher. And of course, I'm not saying the voucher will guarantee that you will be hired, but of course it's such a good tool to be able to bring to an interview and say, well, here I am, here are my skills and my credentials, but I will also bring with me 3,000 to 5,000 euros, like as part of the package.
It's an incentive.
It's a great incentive. And again, as we've discussed, you know, from the company perspective, they just do not always have the time to follow all of the channels of the City of Turku or attend any of our training courses. So again, kind of, we're hoping that from the applicant perspective, this will really help with the pitch that you have to companies, that you can go in there. And of course, you know, you don't need to have like all of the information. You know, we have the information on the website and the other kind of promotional materials as well. But I think for any, like as we talked about, or I'm sure you've talked about on previous episodes, you know, the way that the job market is at the minute, like anything that can give you a slight edge or slightly like increase the chances, whether it's your background, whether it's internships, whether it's your Finnish language level, we're hoping in the voucher will be just something to add an extra little few percentage points to the chances of being employed, because you have to be maybe quite, or at least I remember when I, you know, was looking for work in Finland, you have to sort of maybe go further. You can't just apply for a job and expect them to come to you. You have to kind of go to the employer.
Be proactive. That's what we say all the time to our students. You cannot expect that things falling from the sky and jobs arrive to you. And this is a good opportunity to approach company and said, by the way, I have all the skills and I'm interested in the company, plus I have this. So it's a like good plus for our international students, I would say.
You mentioned again international students. How do you define international students?
That's a good question.
That's a very good question. I think the way, of course we know that like the term international is quite broad, and many people really, so it would be someone who is not a Finnish citizen. I think that would be the starting point. And I think generally it would be also someone who does not have Finnish or Swedish as a native language. Of course, if you have someone from Sweden who is studying here, then that kind of borderline case, I think the project team would maybe have to evaluate. But ideally, you know, the voucher is really designed for people who do not speak fluent Finnish or Swedish and have an international, you know, nationality. And are here kind of, you know, on a permit or EU registration, for example. But in terms of if you are not Finnish, like any other nationality is eligible. So again, I've dealt with this myself in a way, like, you know, I've lived here for a while now, and then I got a Finnish passport, and it's like, okay, am I international? Am I Finnish? It's difficult to say.
Your identity
crisis.
I'm still waiting for mine, so I'm still a foreigner.
I'm sure it's good. But even when it does come, you do consider yourself international. So again, you don't have to self-assess. Like, we will help you if you are concerned, if you think, you know, if you have like 2 passports, or if you've lived in Finland a long time but you don't have a Finnish passport, then again you can contact the team. But I imagine the majority of people who get the voucher would be people with different nationalities other than Finnish.
Okay, great. One question, you mentioned the deadline, which is 30th of November.
Yes.
Does it mean that the work experience has to end before the 30th of November, or the application, so they can maybe apply the last day and then still do their...
That is a good question. My understanding is that the placements can continue after that date.
Okay, so
ideally we would probably not want you from a logistical bureaucratic level. We would not really like to process an application on the 29th of November, just because again how often it takes some time for that kind of funding to get released. So my strong advice to everyone looking in the camera now, my strong advice is to do it as soon as possible. To at least, even if your placement might not take place till the autumn, for example, you can apply to the voucher like as soon as you have that verbal agreement with the company, you can get the ball rolling. And then, of course, if it needs to get delayed, it'll get delayed. Like, that's fine. It's better to apply early and have a slight delay than apply too late.
Last minute.
And also, we've talked about...
we know our students, they always do last minute.
I was a student,
and employers as well, like situations change very much. So sometimes employers need quick hires and it might be in October, but of course... The earlier, the better, maybe.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, one thing as well to emphasise with that is that, of course, the number of vouchers are limited. Unfortunately, the city's pot of money is not, completely bottomless. Like, eventually, I don't think we haven't committed to a particular number of vouchers, but of course, there is a limit. It will get to a stage where, it could be the case before November that we might have to close the voucher scheme if we have enough vouchers. Enough applicants. So again, if you are kind of thinking about it, your company's thinking about it, then maybe that's another reason not to leave it until November to maybe start the process earlier, because otherwise it could run out, and then that would be, you'd have to wait till the next pilot or the next thing that comes after this. I suppose.
Okay.
But I think Jonathon is coming even to our university to talk to our students. So you will find him in campus with your colleague, right?
Yes,
in the next weeks.
We're normally around. So myself and my colleague Sari Sainio, who is the project manager for the International Voucher. So yes, we are doing kind of a campus roadshow between now and the end of the semester. So we're going to be having some pop-ups and a few kind of mini presentations where we'll be able to talk about the voucher in more detail. Again, this is like a good interview. I feel very challenged, because you're right that there are so many cases with the company and the students that are what I would call sort of borderline cases. For those, maybe we do need to have a longer discussion with the applicant or look in more detail at the company. But again, that's totally fine. We are totally open to that. It's not just a closed door if you are not eligible.
I think it's really important in all these kind of initiatives and subsidies to kind of see what is the end goal of what we are doing. So here, for example, getting someone employed, and then maybe this is the pilot stage. You need to be evaluating like individual situations individually. So and I think that's a really nice approach from you, from the city's side.
Yeah, I agree. And, I think we know, of course, this one particular pilot is not going to solve all the problems that we have as internationals and finding work here. But if we can just start to maybe change a few attitudes through the voucher, like I mentioned earlier, especially with smaller companies who are just not as experienced in hiring internationally. Maybe they've never hired a non-Finnish or Swedish speaker before. So if we can just try and break through the ice with some of those companies. I know that recently, this is like a plug for our own podcast, but on the International House Turku podcast, available on all streaming platforms, we just interviewed the elinvoimajohtaja, or like the City of Turku's economic development director, where he was talking in more detail about the city's strategy for internationals, and really this kind of working, like clearer working pathways was number one. And then equally the city has kind of integration and anti-segregation kind of stuff they're doing as well, but really working life and a clearer model and a clearer pathway, especially for people who've studied here and have kind of integrated in a way and have learnt some language, and maybe the family have settled here for the last 2 to 4 years. Like, really, they are a big priority for the city moving forward. So I'm always optimistic. I'm always cautiously optimistic about the activities that we're doing, and hopefully this can be, like I said, the start of something larger, which is what we would like to see. And I think as well from your side, that's what we are all working towards.
Yes, definitely. Well, thank you, Jonathon, very much for joining us to go through this international voucher.
Yes, and thank you to our listeners. We hope we give you all the information that you need to know now about this international voucher. And again, if you are doubting or you are in these borderline cases, you can always contact the City of Turku. We will add the link about the website that you were mentioning, so
that would be great.
Our listener can find it a bit more straightforward. And
I think it's got a full flow chart and bullet points, and you can see which category you fall into. But again, if you have any difficulties, you can contact Sari, or you can always contact International House Turku.
Yes, let's make it happen.
Yes.
Thank you. This was the UNICOM Plus podcast, and See you next time.